Then you should do that.
I can't.
Oh,
It's in there now.
Say it just lodged.
It's right there. I was trying to burp before the show came on, and here we are. Sorry. I'm your host, C. Lynn, and this is episode 3 of the weekly wind down. And because I don't know, why not? I mean, do you have anything better to do right now? No.
Right. At all.
At all. At all. So why not? And plus, I got a special guest who came all the way from 30 minutes away.
Yes.
Yeah. Just to
essentially.
come and sit down and chat with me for a little while. So, Kris Massey, everybody.
How's everyone? And out there in the virtual world.
The infamous Kris. So this is the weekly wind down, and every week I try to find a Black-owned wine. Can't find one.
To be fair, I didn't know that was the protocol. Otherwise, I probably would have tried to pick up one.
Yeah, but there isn't one around.
If you
know one?
Not offhand, but if you research online and find out the name of one,
I tried.
And they're
not
no
here. Not here.
No, but you could have a place order it for you.
Yeah, I could. So yeah. I'm hoping that if someone hears that and sponsors the show and ships me a bottle of wine so I can advertise it during my show. That's the goal.
Right.
Free wine. This could be your product, ladies and gentlemen. This could be you. Instead, Kris brought his own favorite wine, which is interesting because I've never heard of it. Please tell us about it.
19 Crimes. 19 Crimes. I've never drunk this particular one, but it's a hard chard. Typically, I drink 19 Crimes and Walking Dead wines. You know, the kind of wines you could put with the live app, so the wine actually tells you a story, the label. You know. Yeah,
so he put the app on his phone and then held it up in front of the picture, and the picture started talking, and it was a little freaky.
Yeah, I mean, it can be disturbing to those that don't know what's coming.
I mean, if you can imagine that lady talking to you in your hand.
Yeah.
That lady.
About murder.
So what's the theme of the wine itself? Like 19 crimes, 19 different types of criminals advertised on here?
Yeah. Yeah, they every crime has its own flavor and its own spokesman. And everyone I've had thus far has been delicious. Now, everyone is either from England or Australia. That's all the criminals they've had on there so far.
British rogues.
Yes. And, Australia was their, prison colony, so it makes sense.
They were punished and sentenced to live in Australia instead of death. Interesting. So this chick was known for running a gang, I believe.
Yeah.
Jane Castings, it looks like her name is. So I'll let you go ahead and pop that open, or try to, because that's not a twisty, because that's what I'm used to. I have no shame, no judgment in this house. It's a judgment-free zone. Okay, so there. So thank you for bringing that. I appreciate that.
Not a problem. I need an excuse to drink anyway.
We got a couple comments I can't see all the way back here. Hello. Hey, Shannon.
Is that little Debbie? Is that little Debbie?
Yes.
Hello, little Debbie.
Oh, she laughing at us. It's so good to see you. Thank you for stopping in. Look, Shannon, this is my 3rd episode. You missed the first 2.
Don't feel bad. So did I.
I need you to go to YouTube and go to C-Lynn TV. C.LYNNE TV. After this, don't go now. Stay here. And then when you're done, then go there. And then watch the last episode. My son and I had the episode before this, and it was really interesting, to say the least. Yeah. Oh, what is the sorry? Oh, because you missed the first 2 episodes? Is that why you're sorry? Why are you? Really? That was the bottle. He didn't do that with his hand. He did it with the bottle. Can you go have a seat, please? Hi. The child spoke in his own language. Thank you very much. Hey, let me put this water down.
Right. Water so counterproductive.
Nobody needs that.
Why is yours so much bigger than mine?
Don't worry about the size.
You know, when I try to tell people that, you know, it doesn't go over quite as well. I'm just saying.
Guys, thank you. Oh, that's hilarious. Whoa. By the way, 15% out.
Yeah, a little low, but I mean,
it's gonna do the job tonight in this glass.
I mean, it's only one bottle.
This glass is gonna be great. Forgot to get some ice. It wasn't chilled. No. That's all right. We're good. All right. So there was a couple things that you wanted to talk about, and you kind of wanted to get deeper than I wanted to care to get. So this will be interesting.
Fair enough.
I'll crack jokes in the meantime.
Fair enough.
But one of the things that you had mentioned that stuck out more than anything else was I kind of wanted to talk about race relations. You mentioned there being a relationship between Black people and brown.
Yeah.
What you said.
Yeah, because the recent immigration situation, there's a segment of Blacks that feel like, well, this isn't our fight, so why are we putting ourselves on the line for it? Mm-hmm. While I completely, utterly disagree with that for multiple reasons. One, it doesn't matter if, you know, it's directly affecting us mm-hmm. as a people as a whole, mm-hmm. because when all minorities are equal in the eyes of the system. So if they'll do that to them and we allow it and we look the other way, mm-hmm. then eventually, I mean, because we're already, you know what I'm saying, taking it pretty hard. True. So if they can get away with that without anybody causing a ruckus, then you think they're not going to up the ante on us because they can't deport us. So, I mean, you know.
Not like they haven't tried or not going to try. That's
right. Yeah.
Hold on 1 second. Cameron, may I borrow a phone, please? Can I use one of your phones for my YouTube, please?
You have multiple phones?
Thank you.
Look at you, baller.
Bring it. I understand. I'm sorry. He's over here whining because he listening to music. Shannon, you gotta please tell me you have a glass of wine and you are enjoying this because you have nothing else better to do with your life than sit around and watch us talk about nothing with a glass of wine. I'm hoping you have wine.
Like YouTubers.
Because this is more funny when you know you've been drinking a little while. All I'm saying.
You know,
life is more fun a little tipsy. That's all I'm saying.
Stop calling me people. I don't know who that is. Oh.
That's just my baby daddy.
Oh no!
That was a classic. You know nothing of the classics.
The baby daddy song. Yes. You don't.
No. He's right there.
You know anything about the baby daddy song?
I don't want to know.
This is true. You do not need a baby daddy.
Good for him. I love that show. I don't even like wine. What?
Blasphemy.
But I know you drink. So what do you drink? If you don't like wine, pray tell. She's not a liquor drinker.
I don't know.
Unless.
I just put stuff out there.
I mean,
unless Shannon up to stuff and we don't know about it.
Well, Shannon's always been up to stuff and we
Shannon, it's been a long time since we talked to you. You might want to call us in and
right. Shannon got a whole secret life.
I think she do too.
She all sweet in public, and then in private she fights crime and shit.
She's a super hero.
Right.
That doesn't drink wine.
Right.
I love you, Shannon. I promise I do. But damn it, we both love you a lot. We would hurt lives for you.
Well, that is true. That is true.
Please know.
The offer is always there.
Always.
Right.
Always. Can you turn your Snapchat off so we can stop beeping? Never mind. Don't worry about it. Yeah. So I appreciate you all hanging in there with us while we figure this out. Again, this is episode 3 of the Weekly Wind Down, so I still haven't figured out how to do all this, but at least I figured out how to get on YouTube Live because I was worried about that. We got there down.
Hey, you're making progress.
We are making progress. Because the first time we did this, we had 2 laptops, 2 cell phones going at the same time. Internet shut down twice.
Wow.
I know.
The horror.
It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. So then in the second time, I think it was just one laptop and one cell phone, 2 cell phones. It's kind of like I'm trying to do now. Whenever it loads, for whatever reason, it's not doing it. Start live video. Hold up. Get off my screen.
I'm not on your screen. Doctor Who is on my screen.
You got Doctor Who on your screen?
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yes,
You're dope.
yes.
He's like, yes. I know this.
Right, these are facts.
I know. Well aware. Cam, I need some help. I didn't do anything. I didn't. I'm trying to turn the camera around. It's not working.
Working old phone.
It's moving really.
I know.
Really.
I hate this
Can I
phone.
have the other one, please?
The other one's dead. That's why I
See
was
how you
charging
doing?
it.
See how you doing?
That's why I was charging it until you took my charger.
I did take his charger. My phone is hooked up to his charger. What's up? I can't see. What up? At Hound Dog. We're not talking about nothing. We just hanging out. That's all we doing. Just hanging out. Trying to figure out YouTube. So we got YouTube. Trying to figure out Facebook. You know what? No, it won't work. I tried that.
What?
I was gonna try to put YouTube over there and Facebook over here, and then turn them both on, but it only works one at a time.
You have a dual processor, don't you?
I don't know. Those are technical terms.
She don't know that stuff.
Do you?
Nope.
All right then. Don't be talking about it like I don't know.
We both don't know that stuff.
Like I don't know. Like I should know. See, it takes over your camera. Oh no, wait.
Yeah.
Oh snap.
Shake it down.
Hey. All right. We may be having in the business. If I
Your
could
slang
type-
needs to be updated.
I can't type.
I'm just saying, you might want to cruise through an urban
Oh my
dictionary,
gosh, I
you know?
cannot type. Y'all stop making me laugh.
Right, at least one, just pull up on them, like, hey, you know, where's the words y'all use?
Stop.
Do people
Stop
still say
it.
can't eat?
Oh my god. I hate y'all, both of y'all, both of you. How you even get in here? Where were you?
You called them in here.
That was a long time ago. Why he's still in here? No, it's too late now. I got it. Thank you. Let's see how long the internet lasts now.
Yeah.
Huh?
Hopefully it lasts long.
Oh no, he's playing GTA Live.
Who do you have?
Who do I have for what?
Internet.
Charter.
Charter? You have the Ultra?
I don't know what's what. You talking to me like I know what that is?
I mean, you paid a bill.
I don't know. I don't know which one that is. I have
Ultra
no
is the one
idea.
that's 400. Did you at least get the new modem that goes up to 200?
I
Or
don't-
you still
I
have
don't-
that 100
I
modem?
don't know. I have the one I had when I first signed up for Charter.
So we made all of these upgrades. And free of charge, mind you. All you have to do is exchange the modem.
Nobody told
And you're
me.
over here like, why is my internet so slow?
No, because they were trying to get me to buy new internet. Like, we have an upgrade for you. Call us at, like, I don't want nobody selling me something. It came across as it was a sale. That's how it came across. So I didn't call.
It wasn't a sale. It was you turned in your modem so your shit go faster. Swap them out. You know what I'm saying? You go from 100 to 200 instantly. And you won't have these type of problems.
Fine. That's fine.
I'll come by and pick up your stuff sometime next week to switch it out.
Friends and good places. Yay. I will drink to that.
You should. You should.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so yeah. We talked a little bit about race relations. And then I got distracted because I was thinking.
Oh, well.
Was there anything you wanted to add to the conversation?
Okay. One thing we have to start doing is acknowledging that some people are just pricks. Being a prick doesn't mean you're necessarily racist. Some people are genuinely assholes.
This is true.
So, just because someone, person does something to a person of color does not mean that they're racist.
That's true.
Sometimes it's just because they're general dicks to everyone.
I
You
agree.
just so happen to be the opposite color, but they would do the same thing. But we are so sensitive about every little thing. Don't get me wrong. Some of the stuff, yeah, you need to react to, and sometimes I think we underreact to certain things. But overall, I mean, God, you can't, every time you blow up and call someone a racist that actually isn't a racist, you turn them into a racist.
So give us an example of a situation that may have been like on social media where someone was called a racist when it wasn't necessarily warranted.
Racial profile.
Okay.
That's a little bit different. That's I'm talking about like a specific example.
There was an event, let me see.
Ooh, let me turn this arrow. Go ahead.
A woman called the cops
Yes.
on someone because they were firing off fireworks, right?
Yes, I saw that.
Now, granted, the woman was an idiot. The woman was too sensitive about the fact that somebody was firing off fireworks.
Time out. I'm sensitive about people firing fireworks, but if that person is aiming fireworks in my direction, we have a problem.
Right, granted.
Because some people don't know how to pop fireworks.
That is true.
Okay.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, and then you have, people with PTSD and all of that kind of stuff.
Yes.
This was not one of those scenarios.
Okay.
This was just a woman that didn't like noise.
Okay.
And she called the cops, and then the cops come out and say like, hey, they're allowed to, and she was like, well, it's a violation of the noise policy, which technically is true, but
it's a holiday, isn't that an exception?
Oh, but no, it's not an exception. The issue is city ordinances can't overdo state law. State law allows fireworks. So your city ordinance says, okay, there's a noise policy, but state law says you can have fireworks, so you can still shoot them off.
Wow.
So she was upset. She called the cops. Cops come out. The cops didn't do anything, obviously, because, they couldn't.
Thankfully.
Right. But then I don't think she necessarily called the cops because the people were black. She seems like one of those people that will call the cops on her mother if it was just one of those days, but people don't take the time to see the entire story. Like the Hispanic guy that recently snatched the hat off the Magma kid, the Magma hat off.
I didn't see that video.
Oh yeah, apparently kid was in the restaurant, had on a Make America Great hat on. He snatched the hat off the kid. Conservatives all over the planet, had a meltdown talking about this is Maxine Waters' fault, liberals are nasty, blah, 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 blah. Okay, now, granted, that was only one section of the story that people knew about, so, it looked like the guy was foul, and he just attacked the guy because he was a Trump supporter.
Okay.
That was not the case. Witnesses there came out in droves and said, no, before the guy approached him and took off the dude's hat, he was making jokes about hanging black people and, shooting dirty Mexicans and all kind of stuff.
Wow.
So the guy asked him to stop. Yeah. Another customer asked him to stop. Mm-hmm. He did not stop. Mm-hmm. He continued to make jokes. So dude snatched his hat off his head. Now, was that appropriate to do at work? Yes. But do I completely understand where dude was coming from? Yeah, I get it. And he shouldn't have been labeled a racist or anti-white because he snatched the Magma hat off simply because, if it had been a brother in there with a Magma hat on talking about wetback this and all of that, he probably would have did the same thing. It's not necessarily racist when you react to a situation. It's just you're reacting to a situation.
So what happens then is the question that comes up is, are we judging people based off of 15-second clips on the video?
And we have been.
The whole story?
And we have been doing that for quite some time, which is one of the arguments officers often make in shootings. They're like, well, you only saw that 15 seconds. You don't know what happened before and blah, 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 blah. And they do, that does have some validity.
Right.
Problem is, those 15 seconds are when you pull the trigger. You know what I'm saying? And the guy didn't have a gun. It's really, no matter what you say to justify that, I can't get behind.
That's the problem that people were saying, like, he was this and he was that, or he shouldn't have done this or he shouldn't have. And at the end of the day, do you deserve to lose your life because you running off at the mouth or because all that extra stuff
you run from the cops and they shoot you dead
in the back?
Right. That's illegal for one. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And two, I ran from cops when I was young.
I'm glad you weren't shot.
Yeah, well, I mean, you say one shooting people. You know what I'm saying? And, the cops that I came up under, there was a code of ethics. Okay. You only got shot or beat or whatever the case may be when you were completely out of pocket and there was no other recourse.
Okay.
Now, shooting people seems to be the go-to thing. You know what I'm saying? Rather than trying to de-escalate the situation, talk it out. If a cop sees that you're getting aggressive, they just blast you. and then be like, hey,
and ask questions later.
Right,
Did you see what happened to the dude who was on the ship for less than a day? Was he on there for like hours?
Yeah, he had just started that day. He got
crazy.
fired from the department before for being a bigot and aggressive and doing stuff. They hired him. I think there should be a blacklist policy. If you're fired from a department, you cannot be hired at another department. I mean, that only makes sense.
It does make sense.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, at least with some level of investigation, at least, because even if you're say for instance you were trying to speak out on somebody who was doing some illegal
Yeah,
and then they blacklist you in that department,
right,
then you should be able to go get a job somewhere else, but they should be able to investigate.
If you're fired
yeah,
for gross misconduct and racial bias job performance, you should not be able to work in the public sector ever again. I mean, not across the board. I'm not saying you shouldn't be able to be a cop, because not only should you not be able to cop, you should be able to be a crossing guard. You should never be able to receive public funds for your employment ever again, because when you're getting public funds, you're getting money from the very people you're discriminating against.
Right.
Not to mention, they put you in a position to discriminate against them again.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, yeah, it might not be, you know, you might go from a cop to a school teacher, but the discrimination factor is still there. Well, one job you might be able to shoot them. The other job, you can expel them, have them arrested, you know, all that kind of stuff. You know, it's just as damning if you have that mentality, and that mentality has been proven. I'm not talking about somebody thinks you're a bigot. You know, because there are a lot of times a cop will get branded or something just because, you know, he pulled over somebody and be like, oh yeah, Peckerwood, blah, blah, blah. And that's not the case. Dude just chilling doing his job. But if it's proven on paper, you're a bigot, you should not be able to go get any public sector job. Anywhere. You know, now the private sector want to hire you, that's on them. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But
that is on them. That's a fact.
Right. You know,
wow. That's unfortunate, man. I didn't know that about this back history. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I mean, he had just got fired, and then he got hired there and started killing black people instantly. I mean, it's like he didn't even waste no time. He didn't even build up a rapport or none of that.
Nothing.
He was like, "Oh, got a badge, you."
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, they charged him quick. They were like, "We're not playing this game," because he didn't know anybody enough.
Well, he didn't have. Yeah, he don't have no pool. You know, and I mean, and then with the present racial climate, they can't afford to roll those dice. They can't stall this one out. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, we just need to figure it out. Once it was released about his history and why he got fired, they had to charge quick. Yeah. Because I mean, to stall that out with everything else that's going on, that's a fire.
They waste the money.
Yeah, they wouldn't have been able to put out.
They don't want those problems.
Right, especially in Philly, them cats got issues.
Oh, boy, do they.
You know.
All right, so I wanted to go back a little bit because we were talking about the lady who called the police on the people firing fireworks. And I think that part of our sensitivity to that is the fact that people know that police are responding to emergency situations to black people ready to armed and ready.
I think miscellaneous calls to police departments should come with a charge for the person that made the call, because a lot of these calls, you know, the people are making their calls knowing that the end result could be the death of the person they're calling.
That's like attempted murder.
Right. You know, I mean, and I'm quite sure some of them aren't thinking that far ahead. Most of them probably don't even have that mental capability to think that far ahead.
That's true.
But there's more than one or two of them that doing that with the underlying prospect of they either get shot or at least beat up, you know, and a minimum arrested and inconvenienced over something minimal and insignificant. Like the chick that called the cops on the girl sleeping in the common room at Harvard. Oh, you know what I'm saying? I mean, bitch can't even sleep. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? She go to school there. She taking it out in the common room. And you gotta go to jail for that. What? You know what I'm saying? That kind of stuff. I mean, it's gotten to the point where I think people of color in general, because not just black, but actually more of a class situation, because me personally, I mean, if you're under a certain threshold of income, you're equal as far as this,
Sure.
the society is concerned.
Yeah.
But I think we're becoming numb to a lot of the nonsense because it happens so often, and that's bad. Because once you become desensitized to shit that should outrage you, the only recourse after that is do some shit that's going to outrage everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, because it's going to get to the point where a motherfucker be like, you know what, tit for tat. You know what I'm saying? They want to call the cops on somebody for doing nothing. I'm going to shoot up this nigga house. You know, I mean,
a little extreme.
The
But I hear
conversation.
what you said.
No, I've actually had to talk people out of going that route.
I believe
You know, I mean, and that's where a lot of people's minds are beginning to drift in the direction of fuck marching, fuck peaceful protesting.
Right.
That we've been doing that shit since the 60s and ain't got shit. It's time to pick up a strap and no longer ask to be treated like humans, but demand. And I understand there's a certain truth to that. I just don't think we have the numbers.
I think we need the numbers. I think Jay-Z put it perfectly. And please, Lord, I do not know the line. All I know is he referenced Florida, the streets killing 21 Savage. The streets killing Triple X, but letting Zimmerman live.
Oh yeah, that I was pissed. I was pissed off about that when you had cats talking about killing Kanye because he was, you know, mad.
That don't even make sense.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, Kanye was ignorant as fuck, but
not worth the death though.
But no, the fact that you would say let's kill him when this dude actually killed a kid for no reason, and he's still walking around. To me, that every cat in Florida lost stripes. Everyone that say out there on the block talking about I'm so gangster, I'm so this, your stripes were removed. If you about that life, but you let him walk, you know what I'm saying? Then no. Now, I mean, for guys that get up and go to work every day and don't, you know, pick up a strap, they're not supposed to do that because they don't do that. They're not about that life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But if I get up at crack of dawn on the 1st to sell work, I'm strapped, I'll shoot my neighbor if he get involved with my business, then Zimmerman was well within my scope of situations to handle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, and he's not alone. I mean, there's a lot of people that if you're in that life.
But that's what I'm saying. We don't need an army of people. You just need a couple soldiers who are willing to go through and take out the necessary people. I'm not condoning any violence.
You're not.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Because there are people who are out there talking about they this, they that, they run this, they run that, and you sitting at home smoking all day while Zimmerman is walking the streets. I'm not saying go out and get him. I'm just saying.
Well, but that is actually a lot deeper.
Okay.
Like for example, when the Democratic Party, after Trump got elected, the Democratic Party came out and was like, resist, 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 you know. And then when the dude from Belleville actually did resist, went down there.
Yeah.
But you can't say certain things and think everyone's going to interpret them the same way. You know what I'm saying? I mean, resist is a call to armor. Comparing him to Hitler and saying that, you know, we have to by all means. You're essentially saying, strap up, do what you got to do. Yeah. And then when somebody actually did that, then they try to distance themselves from it and be like, oh, no, but that's not what we meant. Well, your fault. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't even mad at him because I understand the mentality. How many times you going to go vote and get the same fucking result? You know what I'm saying? How many times are you going to turn on the TV and hear they're cutting aid again, they're cutting food stamps again, and, you know, and every study has shown essentially, you know, that we are no longer in a democracy, we're in an oligarchy. Our opinions don't really matter to the people that actually make the laws. The donors' opinions do. And if you're not a millionaire donor, you don't really have a voice. You're just cattle to, you know, put the people in place to make money from the donors. You know, so I can understand the frustration. Sure. I can understand the thought process that goes into, you know what? I'm sick of this shit.
Yeah.
I'm finna kick this up a notch. Somebody gonna tell me something today.
Yeah.
I get it. You know what I'm saying?
I understand it too.
I think his plan was flawed.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Hold on. So he's referring to the guy that lived in Belleville who went to D.C.
Yeah, he went to D.C.
and he shot up the baseball game that the politicians were playing out in D.C. that day. So he literally packed up from here, flew out there.
No, he drove.
He drove.
Yeah.
That further lets you know how angry he was, because that's not an easy drive. That's not around the corner drive. Belleville is in the middle of America.
Yeah.
DC is not in the middle of America. So for him to drive all the way out there, shoot them up, and then he killed himself.
He was shot.
They killed him.
Yeah, they killed him.
But that's the story.
Yeah, and like I said, I understand.
Yeah.
You know, just like when when the cop shootings were first getting publicized. I mean, because they've been going on forever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
right.
Every black person know it.
Yeah.
It's just now that they're being recorded, you know what I'm saying? More people are finding out.
Right.
But when they first were getting publicized and Black Lives Matter was doing their thing and doing their marching, I told people then, if cops don't start getting arrested, charged, and convicted, people are gonna start killing cops. Everyone's like, "Oh, you're advocating violence, this, that." I'm like, I'm not advocating. I'm just telling you the reality.
That's realistic,
right?
Like,
and
you put
then
anybody far enough, they're gonna respond.
And then the guy in New Orleans went up there with a sniper rifle and took out 11 cops. You know, former Marine, Semper Fi. But you know, it was inevitable. But everyone wants to say, if you address that you're advocating violence, like Maxine Waters. They say, oh, well, she's advocating violence. No, all she said was make their lives as uncomfortable as possible. That's not necessarily advocating violence. Now, yes, there's somebody out there that's going to interpret it that way because that's what they want to do deep down anyway. You know,
all they needed was that green light.
Right. You know,
put the plan in motion.
Right. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they just needed a catalyst. You know,
that's true. Hey, what's up, Rob? How you doing? And I think that's Kat. Hey, Kat. Hey, Kat. I think that's.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
Kat. I hope she's sticking around. So we were talking about this particular wine. Now, some of you are just now joining us, you know. So this is 19 Crimes. It's the name of the wine that Kris brought with him. And apparently it talks about criminals. It posts different criminals on each bottle of wine.
Yeah,
there's 19 different crimes.
Yeah, and then the label talks to you. Not just because you drunk the product. There's an app you can put on there.
I don't know, man. It's working well.
Hey, I'm pro beverage.
It's working well. Let me just say that. So it's good to see y'all. Thank you for stopping in. Who is that? Hey, okay. Hey.
Oh, Andrea.
Yeah, she came and she went.
Oh.
You need an invite. We didn't know. It was like last minute. He was like, I'm on my way. And then this happened. So magic happened.
Right. I took the kids to see David Blake when he was here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
When was this? I didn't know he was here.
Like what, 3 weeks ago?
Really?
Yeah. My youngest daughter's scarred. Yeah. I mean, because
wait a minute. How old is she?
13. That's
scarable.
Yeah.
13.
Yeah.
What did he do?
Well, he started to show off by sewing his mouth shut.
Oh, that's how he started the show?
That was act one.
Oh,
no. Yeah. So, and it only went downhill from there. I loved it.
I'm sure you did.
But, yeah, she's perfectly.
Well, she learned a lot about you in that night.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Oh, my gosh. All right. So, I'm going to keep this because it messes with the sound, but
okay, whatever.
The other thing you mentioned that you wanted to talk about was sexual orientation.
Yes.
Why is that a hot topic?
Because people have a false idea about sexual orientation. It's based in, Judeo-Christian ethics,
sure.
And people don't realize that a lot of the things they do are based on Judeo-Christian ethics. So to them, their bias seems natural, but it's learned. And when you try to explain to someone that, homosexuality is natural, they're like, no, it's not, blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, oh, well, it's found in every species. on Earth, and they're like, oh well, but still that's not accurate.
It's not godly.
Right, and so it irks me because people think that there's an abundance of homosexuals now. They're like, oh, their agenda, they're just so many of them now. They're turning people gay. No, it's just now it's no longer they no longer have to be in the closet. It's the numbers are the same. The same number of homosexuals has always been here. It's just now they don't have to be like, no, I'm not gay. Now they can openly go out and be like, yeah, I'm gay as that thing, and what, and that's okay, and that should be okay. People thinking that they have some sort of sinister agenda, like there's this plot to, like with Alex Jones and the gay frog thing. I mean, what the fuck?
The what?
Oh, you didn't hear about that?
Tell me about it.
Alex Jones came out and said that
who is Alex Jones?
He's in InfoWars.
Okay.
He's the guy that said the Democrats were having they were starting the second Civil War on July 4th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the president gets his news from him.
What's up, YB? Okay, go ahead.
So Alex Jones said that homosexuals were making frogs gay and they're releasing them into the population so that they could spread this gay hormone and turn other people gay. Now, besides that being completely fucking insane, the fact that there are people that believe that.
People believe all of them.
I mean,
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, because you got people that still think the Earth is flat. And
don't get me started.
Yeah,
famous, well-known people.
Right. And, I tell my kids, if you tell me that you believe the Earth is flat, then you're no longer my children.
Oh, wow. They can be gay.
Right.
They can't believe the Earth is flat.
No, not at all. Not at
Wow.
all.
Wow. So Alex Jones was saying, help.
Gay frogs were helping to produce more gay to turn straight people gay. Yes.
How did we get on Alex Jones?
Because we were talking about homosexuality.
Okay.
And I was just saying that, people have these obscure things about a gay agenda.
Oh.
Like,
yes.
There's a room full of gay people like, yes, how can we turn more people gay?
That is not how it works.
Right. I've been in rooms full of gay people. They're not trying to turn you gay. They're trying to get you out of the room so they can do gay shit.
That's a fact.
Wow.
I think one of the things that I've noticed with the whole bathroom scenario, they were using to scare people by saying that homosexuals would So if the whole bathroom situation where they were trying to separate people who are trans from going to their identity, the bathroom they identify closely with. I'm trying to put the words together. Y'all forget 15% is not a lot, but it's enough.
For children.
Hey, no judgment. So anyway, dog, I forgot what I was saying.
Damn shame.
Okay. So they were trying to say that if they did that, then pedophiles would abuse your children. They were comparing homosexuals as
right.
Pedophiles.
They were trying to equate the two.
Yeah.
Now, well, and that's another thing. Not that most of them care about facts, but openly,
facts.
Openly homosexual people do not molest children.
No, they don't.
Statistically, the number is 0.
0.
If you're openly gay, you don't touch kids. It's the guy that, that's married with 3 kids that just sneaks off to the bathroom, to the bathhouses and, the truck stops and does things and then says, I'm not gay. First of all, he's like, fine. Those are the people that touch our little boys and little girls.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not the guy that's flamboyant with it. The guy that's flamboyant with it has no need for your children. He has about 8 boyfriends.
And he will tell you,
right.
Ain't no playing over here. This is what it is.
All right.
Don't play.
Right. And those are facts. Because I know the flamboyant gays.
Amen. And they are very honest, wear the honesty on their sleeve and can care less how you feel.
Right.
And I prefer that kind of friend.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people that I grew up with that are closet gay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Dudes that, right now are married. Some are actually, and have high positions in religious institutes.
Sure.
But they are secretly gay as that thing. I know because, I know shit. But I don't, I don't put their business on blast. That's their business to put out there. But to me, I do think that that is wrong. If you're gay, you at least owe it to your old lady to tell her that she ain't the only one smoking pipe. I mean, yeah, that seems only fair. I think that because some of them might not be full-fledged gay, some of them might just be bisexual, and that, whatever, what I'm saying, but that needs to be put on the table.
I agree. I think that's only fair though. You can't expect me to be honest, and then you have this giant thing.
Right, because that's significant.
That's
significant. Right. That's like you get with a chick, y'all dating for years, y'all get married, and then she busts out like, oh, by the way, I can't have children. Nigga, you should have told me that. Cool. You know what I'm saying? That's 3 years cool. In, at least. You know what I'm saying?
I don't co-sign keeping secrets from people in relationships. I think that's the dumbest thing ever. If you want to be in a relationship, that means you bear all. And I understand keeping some things to yourself because you're not sure, how the person's going to respond. But if you're going to be your genuine self and you want to present as your genuine self, then you need to be honest with people about stuff and stop hiding stuff. It's not that serious. If it were that serious, then you shouldn't date people at all until you figure it out.
I was dating a chick and we broke up primarily because she voted for George Bush and didn't tell me.
Wait a minute. I have so many questions.
Well, the way it played out,
okay.
I personally, I got friends of the entire political spectrum.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
Fair enough.
On one end, I have full-fledged communists, and other friend end, I have libertarians, and both are armed to the teeth, by the way.
Okay.
But so that doesn't bother me.
Okay.
But if we're going to be sitting there kicking it, chopping it up every day, and you're only co-signing on my political ideology because you think it's cool or you're trying to fit in, but you actually voted for George Bush, I have a problem because it's not about who you voted for. It's about the fact you aren't being real.
You're not being you.
Right. Because if you're a conservative, be a conservative. We can talk about that. I have debates with conservatives all the time.
Right.
But you can't tell me that, that you're one thing and then, when you go in the voting booth, you do something completely different and then come out like, oh, yeah, it should all be good. No, it isn't, bitch. You know what I'm saying? You have to kick rocks. You know what I'm saying? That is mandatory. You need to leave.
So, okay, then that comes up to the next topic, which is the line. Like in a relationship, what is the line? Like how far can you go before you're, you know what I mean? Like you're done with that person. Like what is the thing that they can't do?
There are certain things that are situational. You can't just make a blanket statement because only Sith talk in absolutes.
So what you're saying is like, so in reference to what you were saying earlier, it's not the fact that she has different political views.
Yeah, it's that she hid those.
That she wasn't true to herself.
Right. Because you can't build if someone's not them. Because little white lies or whatever. Okay, you can take those with a grain of salt. Because shit. Like that's what relationships are. Little white lies that keep each other happy. I can deal with that. What I can't deal with is somebody that is so disingenuous with who they are just to appease you. Because then, what happens 5 years later when you decide, okay, we're going to get married. Now you're married to a motherfucker you don't even know.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying?
That's very true.
I mean, that's like, you married. And if I, everyone knows me, I'm not religious. But if I can't marry someone and they hide the fact that they go to mass 3 times a day. What I'm saying? I mean, what the fuck? That's the kind of shit that needs to be on the table.
I agree.
Or, they're secretly a crackhead. These are things that need to be known. You know what I'm saying? You can't proceed and those type of things are in the background.
Well, now. So I went to therapy today.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. And one of the
This is my therapy.
That's sad, y'all. So in the conversation, one of the things came up was having hobbies separate from the person that you're with.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between having smoking crack as a hobby and then hiding another part of it?
Because smoking crack as a hobby is
Not that I condone smoking crack.
because smoking crack is an expensive, addictive hobby. It's not like, I like to buy books. You know what I'm saying? When you're smoking crack and you don't have the money, you're gonna suck dick. If I'm with a chick, I don't want the idea that she's gonna go out and suck a dick for her hobby. I mean, that just doesn't sit well with me. I mean,
I thought you were gonna go towards the money being affected, but no.
no, I mean, because
Okay.
hobbies can be expensive either way.
Oh my God, AJ, what's up, Amber? Oh my God. Sick. Okay, so having a different religious perspective and political perspective are not line breakers.
No. Unless the different political ideology is you believe people need to be exterminated. There are certain things.
What?
Well, I mean, because you have political ideologies out there where it's not just a difference of opinion on budgetary matters. They feel that certain people don't have the right to exist at all.
Okay.
I cannot date someone who has that type of ideology.
That's more of an extremist.
Yeah, but you'd be surprised how many people are extremists and just don't say it.
Do they not know it?
They don't acknowledge it themselves. To them, they think that that's normal. You know what I'm saying? To think like how Hispanics have been dehumanized, to the point to where people are almost numb, conservatives are numb to the fact that there's 6-month-old kids being separated from their parents and, have to go to deportation hearings without a lawyer. They're like, well, hey, whatever. That's not a difference of opinion. That's a difference of morals.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, it turns from a legal perspective to a moral perspective.
Right,
Okay. So her morals will have to match yours.
Yeah.
I see. That's interesting. I don't know. We just went on that tangent.
I mean that was at a whole rant for no reason.
No, but it was good though, because a lot of people don't really know. You know what I mean? Some people have lines that they just refuse to allow the other person to cross.
Well,
like there's certain things.
Yeah, there's certain things that a person they're like every situation, it has to be weighed on its own merit. I get that, but there are certain things, certain matters of disrespect that shouldn't be allowed by either party.
Fair enough. That's
fair. And then once those lines are crossed,
humanity.
Yeah, what I'm saying. I mean, and even differences of opinion can be overcome. Like I have conservative friends, and we have a difference of opinion on budgetary matters, this, that, and the third, what is defined as socialism, what I'm saying, things like that,
Right.
But, there's a mutual respect there, and the conversations are always civil, and I can respect their position because I know it's not just something that they heard and they're repeating. They actually researched their position, and that's why they have it. But if someone's just pretty much like a ditto head off of something that they've heard other people say and done no research on their own.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah, the majority of the country.
Yeah.
I mean, only 10% of us actually read. Like I made a post the other day. The gay frog guy. The gay frog guy.
Alex Jones is his name.
Yes. There was he posted the chick that just dethroned the representative in New York, right?
Yes. The young girl.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, she's awesome.
I wish I knew her name. I would love to get her props right now.
But I mean I can't remember it offhand. But anyway, he says he puts on a caption, he has a picture of her. It's like open communist win seat. Open communist win seat, leading America towards complete corporate control. Now, there are so many things wrong with that statement.
Okay.
One, she's not a communist.
Okay.
She's not even a socialist. She's a democratic socialist.
Mm-hmm.
Second, if you know anything about communism, it's the opposite of corporate control.
Clearly didn't know that.
Right. But there are people that shared his post.
Sure.
There are people that believe his post. There are people that are thinking that she's a communist when nothing on her platform is remotely communist. At best, something might be a little bit more towards socialist than, capitalist, but there's nothing on her platform that's calling for an abolishment of religion. And
So then that goes back to researching stuff that you read. So not just taking what's in print as fact, but it ain't a lot left.
Drink the wine. Is that what you said?
I drank the wine.
Look how tiny
I drank the wine.
Look at the size of the glasses, everyone. But she's gonna blame me.
Hey, this is my second glass. I didn't have that much. Look. And, right, no judgment. No judgment.
Yeah, you got the wrong guess. I judge.
But I remember because I remember saying on Facebook a while back that we need to research information before we share it, or at least read the article before you share it.
Right.
Not based off of the title of the article. And then somebody came back to me and was like, well, even if you research it, a lot of it says it's still true. So how do you know what's valid, like what's real and what's not? So how do you know what to research?
You have to know the source. I mean, the actual source. Because, a lot of different sites, because even the National Enquirer gets one right every now and then. But if you know the source of the information, certain people are more credible than others. Okay. To show you the stupidity of humans, on the 4th of July, NPR posted different sections of the Declaration of Independence.
Okay.
People read that and assumed it was anti-Trump and called for NPR to be defunded, attacked. Mind you, this is the 4th, and the NPR had to live with such class because every time somebody would post something, they just posted a different line from the Declaration of Independence.
That's perfect.
And they were just like, oh yeah, this
trolling.
Right. It was like,
that's brilliant.
Right. And I'm like, what the fuck? People really have no idea.
They don't know.
But they don't care. That's more sort of problem. Because bias confirmation is one thing, and we get a lot of that on both sides of the spectrum. But what we have going on now is blatantly ignoring reality in favor of what you want to be true. It's not that you're finding, information to support your claim. You will create information to support your claim.
That's true.
And it's not even your claim. It's somebody else's claim. You're just supporting their claim.
And don't even realize it.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
It's the same. I absolutely agree. I remember telling that particular person to make sure that she scrolled down to the bottom of whatever it was she was reading. Because at the bottom it tells you, first of all, if it's not if it's sarcasm, or it tells you the name of the company that produced that information, and then all you have to do is Google that company, and then you'll find out.
People were posting an article from The Onion as if it was fact. And it's not like The Onion hid its label. It was at the top. Onion. And they were still like, this is a disgrace, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting there like, you guys do not understand. This is purposeful satire. This is Saturday Night Live in print. And you guys are running with it like it's real news.
It takes people like us to comment at the bottom, this is a satire site.
Well, at first I make them feel bad about themselves.
Wait a minute, wait. But they don't know. So how do you make them
Because they don't know is why I make them feel, because they should have known.
How should they have known?
They should have researched it before they.
Maybe they didn't know how to research it.
Bullshit. Because it's not like back in the day where, we had to go with the Dewey Decimal System. Google is on the same platform that Facebook is. You know what I'm saying?
It's so true. So how do you do that?
How do I make them feel bad?
Yeah.
Oh, I talk about them. I talk about them real bad. I talk about their intelligence. I say, first I'll come out with a satirical remark of some sort, be like, agree with the statement, like, and make some sort of BS comparison. Then I'll be like, oh, by the way, this is all bullshit. The article's bullshit. You're dumb for believing it. Because after I make my first statement, they don't like it.
Oh.
And that's when I go in. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, you like it because you're dumb. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you are the reason, we can't have nice things.
Wow.
Because people like you are walking around, you know what I'm saying, acting as if you're informed when you read a bullshit article, you know what I'm saying?
It's a lot of that.
I mean, that's like you have anti-vax people, right?
Okay, so now that you want to come into that, I have a few people that follow me who do not believe. They are younger. They are in their 20s, but they do not believe in vaccinating their kids, and they do have babies.
Yeah, they're dumb.
Speak on that.
Yeah, okay. And this is the one major argument that I have against vaccine. I have for vaccines.
Okay.
When was the last time you ran into a nigga with polio?
Ever.
Right. See, vaccines, while I will concede that, I don't have the knowledge of each chemical that goes into everything. So there may very well be some chemicals in there that are unnecessary.
I'm sure.
But I defer to people that got PhD, you know what I'm saying, that do this. And they say, hey, this is what it needs. Okay. You know what I'm saying? That's not my fucking job. If it was my job to go in there under a microscope and be able to say, okay, yeah. Because like people will say all the time, oh, well, when this is exposed to this and this is exposed to that, it can kill you. And yes, but when you mix two chemicals, the chemical compound changes in and of itself, so it becomes something else.
Yeah.
So that isn't lethal. Even though the two components that you're mixing are lethal, they're not lethal once they're combined.
Together.
People don't understand that. People don't understand how vaccines work. People think that, oh, well, I was fine before I took this vaccine. Now I got a fever. That's good. That means the vaccine is working. You're building antibodies. You dumbass. Now, are there cases where, a person might be allergic to a vaccine or something like that? Yes. And do people fall through the cracks and get the shots even though they shouldn't? Yes. Shit happens. You might not know you're allergic to something until you're exposed to it, and that's the first time you're exposed to it. It happens, but that is not the norm, and that is no, reason to not vaccinate.
Okay.
Then there was the whole idea that vaccination is called autism. Bullshit. The guy that came out with that study was discredited by
everybody.
Everyone that ever took a class came out and said, what the fuck are you talking about? I mean, and believe me, I'm a conspiracy guy. I believe in conspiracies because I know there's some fucked up shit going on. But that's not one of them. There's a lot of bogus stuff our government is doing on a daily basis.
That's a fact.
Because that's not profitable. It's not profitable to give people vaccines if they don't need it.
It is.
No.
How is it not?
Because at the end of the day, even though somebody might make a couple of dollars, the cost of the vaccines are really insignificant.
Okay.
And compared to how much they would make if they privatized it. Like the EpiPen. When they were giving out EpiPens to everybody, the price was really cheap. When they privatized and started charging, dumb amounts for it, that's what they would do if the goal was to profit off of vaccines. Okay. They'd make you pay.
Yeah.
They'd tell you, hey, if you don't want to die, you're going to have to come get this, or you're going to have to give me $600 for it. But they're not doing that. And these are the most unscrupulous people on the planet, and they're not doing that. I mean, you had the guy from Goldman Sachs, once he was talking to the board of one of the companies, one of the pharmaceutical companies, and he was like, actual quote, is curing people a sustainable business model. That's what he said.
Okay.
That is where these people's minds are. I mean, the hedge fund mentality is destroying the country every day. You know what I'm saying? Every day. And people don't realize that. They think it's all right or left politics. No, it's 10%, not even 10, 5% of the population that all know each other, all help each other eat, and fuck over everybody else.
Right.
That's
right.
That's why I say kill them all.
Those are the words of him and him alone.
Yeah. My statements are not necessarily.
They're not shared with the host of the weekly wideout.
But just like when Bernie Sanders was running, I was pro Bernie, but he was wrong in the one aspect. he called for a revolution, and I agree with him completely. But there can be no revolution without bloodshed. And we're past the point of no return of trying to fix our corrupt system. Because we don't have two parties. We have one party with two variations to it. It's one corporate party, one puts on a nice face, and one says "fuck you."
Yeah.
You know, that's it. That's the only difference. You know, because the policies are virtually identical. You know, once you get to nuts and bolts of them. So it's like everyone got on Trump's ass about, you know, the way he was doing the detention, which was fucked up. But everyone forgot that Obama deported more people than any president in history. Liberals just looked right over that. Like it didn't even happen. Obama drove more people he killed more innocent people than any president in history. People look right over that. You know, we killed Gaddafi for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Now they're having an open slave trade. Look right over that. But every time Trump fucks up, oh yeah, it's an outrage. It's the same shit. It's the same imperialistic platform. It's just he doesn't put a happy face on it. He's just out there, you know, like the grumpy old drunk guy, you know, at the family reunion, you know. But it's the same policies, you know, just not dumbed down and made nice. You know?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. There's definitely a difference that we mentioned. You know, I've known you a long time.
Yeah. At least 2 years.
And one of the things I've noticed about you, oh, my finger all in the way. I'm sorry. One of the things I've noticed about you is that you have over the years become way more political than you used to be.
Yeah.
What happened?
I think what really changed it was the Iraq War.
Okay.
The Iraq War, you know, being military and all that shit, understanding that people were being sent over there to kill other poor people for defending their own land. That changed my outlook of everything. Because, you know, the situation was reversed, I'd be them.
The narrative over there was completely different than the narrative they were spinning over here. What were they saying over here that made it okay to go over there?
They told everybody over here they were fighting for our freedom, that Saddam Hussein was going to kill, you know, scores of people, all of this kind of stuff, which was all bullshit. Okay. You know, there were never any weapons of mass destruction. We knew that going in.
Weapons of mass destruction.
Right, you know what I'm saying? There were never any weapons of mass destruction. We went over there, killed people to take their oil.
Okay.
That's what we did. Okay. And when they fought back, we called them terrorists. We did the same thing with Bin Laden. Bin Laden was actually our boy. We funded him. We funded Al Qaeda completely.
Which administration did that?
It started before Reagan, but Reagan is the one that, you know, because they did most of their activities. But that's when, you know, when you start getting into Iran Contra and all of that kind of shit. Right. But they started before Reagan. Okay. But we funded Al Qaeda. We armed them so they could fight the Russians in Afghanistan. The minute the Russians were like, all right, you know what? Y'all can have it. Russians left. We're like, great. You know what I'm saying? Then Bin Laden was like, all right, you guys gonna help us rebuild this country, right? We were like, nah, bro. But then he was like, all right, cool. You know what? You know, y'all did enough. We can take care of that. We can rebuild our country. We gonna stop. First thing we gonna do is stop this opium production, because, you know, that shit's killing people. Oh, nah, bro. You can't stop opium. We need that shit. So, fuck you. You a terrorist. And that's where we would start going out there, Bin Laden. Wow. And then everybody was like, oh, yeah, he's a terrorist. He's a terrorist. Bin Laden was just trying to take care of his crib. He didn't want opium being grown and sold in Afghanistan. And right to this day, we have an opium epidemic here, but we have U.S. military guarding the opium fields over there that produce the opium that people are dying from over here. Right. We know this isn't accidental.
Oh, no, I know. I'm well aware of that. I think the part that upset me about the opiate, and I know we're going on a tangent, but the opiate, quote unquote, epidemic in the Midwest, as if it wasn't an epidemic years ago when it was affecting only Black and brown people, it wasn't an epidemic. And now that it's affecting powerful people with kids and grandkids who are using it and dying from it, now it's an epidemic. But that's me on my side.
No. You're absolutely correct. Because, I mean, heroin was a problem. What kicked it off was the pharmaceutical industry synthesized opium and got insurance companies to pay for it.
Okay.
So when that happened, you had scores of people. You had doctors that were prescribing opium like they were Skittles. So you get people hooked on the shit. And then the insurance says, okay, we're only paying up to this point. So doctors prescribe them to that point. Don't weed them off, nothing, just run its whole course. And then one day, oh yeah, no more prescriptions for you. So now you have a guy that's addicted to one of the strongest, substances on earth with no way to get it anymore.
Right.
So what's he gonna do? Well, he can't get Oxycontin from the pharmacy anymore, but he can get heroin from the dude down the street for $5.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or he can buy an Oxycontin off the street for $25. I mean, so that's what kicked the addiction off. Because before, when it was just heroin in the hood, nobody really cared. But when it became, the people, because people don't think they're addicts if they're popping pills. They have a cognitive dissonance about it.
That's the same thing about,
or people that say I'm not an alcoholic because I drink wine.
Or the freebasing as opposed to smoking crack.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, no, you're an addict, but people don't view it that way. So nobody thought they were addicts until they were out there sucking dick for the product.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? As long as insurance was paying for it, everything must be fine. You know what I'm saying? And that's also one of the reasons they don't want to just go ahead and legalize marijuana. Because if you can smoke, then if I can smoke legally, then why the fuck do I need Oxycontin? You know what I'm saying?
Because that's a $1 billion industry.
Right. Yeah, because if I could just fire up a blunt and to alleviate my pain and my stress, I mean, you would be killing the industry for antidepressants. You know what I'm saying? The entire pharmaceutical industry is going to take a hit if we became just generally, because a lot of people self-medicate. They don't go to the doctor. Right. They self-medicate with weed and alcohol. Yes. If weed became legal, then there's no need for any of that antidepressant shit. Just going to stick with the weed and the liquor. And then if it's legal, then people aren't going to jail for it. So the prison industry is affected. There's a lot of money to be lost.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So they try and keep up the whole image like, oh yeah, we're gonna pass laws to fight the opium epidemic. They're not doing a goddamn thing.
No,
they want the opium epidemic because it creates a cycle of necessity.
They want the money that comes from it. They don't want the death that follows.
No, they don't even care about the death that follows.
They care about the death that follows that's connected to them.
Yeah, they care about the publicity from the death.
Sure.
And even with that publicity, you notice every time somebody ODs or something like that, they always give the backstory of how they were troubled. And you know what I'm saying? It wasn't the drug. They abused the drug. It wasn't the drug itself. Right. It wasn't the fact that they were prescribed the medication. It was the fact that they abused the medication they were prescribed. Right. Even though they didn't need the medication in the first place, but the doctor got a goddamn ski vacation for prescribing it to them. I mean, it's mind-boggling how so much shit is just generally accepted by the public, and why people aren't with pitchforks and lanterns in their hand ready to go burn down, their local city hall is amazing to me. Because, I mean, we're being royally fucked over. I mean, regardless of what end of the political spectrum you're on.
Yeah.
We're being fucked.
Yeah. I remember I went to get a tooth pulled, had to be surgically removed. So the dentist prescribed Oxycontin, but he prescribed 6 months worth of Oxycontin.
Right.
Why? I didn't need it 6 months. The tooth is gone. Right. Why do I need 6 months?
2 weeks at the most.
Right. And I didn't even use it that long.
And that could have been all the pain that could have been alleviated by simply smoking a joint. But that's a whole. But now popping pills and all of that has become so normalized, right, that you got motherfuckers out here drinking lean, and you know what I'm saying? I mean, they just go hard because they think it's all party drugs now. But none of this shit was party drugs. You know what was turned into a party drug? That was ecstasy. Ecstasy was not originally a party drug.
What was it originally? For people who don't know.
Yeah, ecstasy was originally for relationship counseling. They would give psychiatrists and relationship counselors would give it to their patients so they could build and bond. You know what I'm saying? And then
it worked really well.
Yeah, I wonder why. But people got it on the street. I think who I blame for our present predicament, and as far as narcotics and pills and all of that, it goes back to the rap industry. Because rap made everything cool. And the first group to make a song about ecstasy was Bo. But the boat is what made it popular. You know what I'm saying? It became normal for people to talk about popping pills.
What song was this?
Bo talked about ecstasy in like 3 albums.
I don't
On the
remember.
Art of War album, they talked about it. On the Family album, where they had the one chick singing the country song, that shit was garbage. They should have just stopped. You know, when Easy died, they should have came out with shit else. You know, Art of War was the last hot shit. You know what I'm saying?
That's the one that had Tupac on it, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? After that, they should have stopped. But, you know, the rest of that shit, yeah, they had songs
They
about.
were known for marijuana smoke. It was songs about smoking weed.
They had songs about smoking weed.
Yeah.
They also had songs about ecstasy.
I clearly didn't connect with those songs.
Well, I mean, most people didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's why those songs weren't popular. They were just the first ones to jump out the gate like, hey, fucking ecstasy, what? You know what I'm saying? Get some. You know? But other groups after that, like this new generation, because when Screw made lead popular, you know what I'm saying? And then you had cats popping pills on a regular basis. You had cats drinking lead. You had motherfuckers out here talking about, oh, this Special K. Ketamine is a cat tranquilizer. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, I don't understand why people are using ketamine. I still haven't understood because why do you want something that knocks you down?
But you know, I don't understand heroin because why would you take a drug that puts you to sleep? You can't even enjoy your high. You're asleep. Sleep is free, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? You can go to sleep for nothing.
Yeah.
You don't gotta pay it, nigga.
Yeah.
You don't gotta suck no dick. You can just go to bed. You know, I mean, I don't get it.
Oh God. There's so many ways I could go with that. I don't know. I did. I don't know what I was thinking. I even said that. I posted a thing on Facebook and said, why did I get into the platform? I don't know what but you make a good point though, because it's like I never understood that, and I didn't see it as that reason as far as going to sleep. But I saw it as I can't control my body. Why would I allow myself to not be able to respond in case of emergency?
Well, I mean, that's just like I don't understand why everybody wants this loud as weed. You know, I don't get it. Why are you trying to be that high? If you need to be that high, maybe you need another drug. Because
what would be next? Because they say marijuana is a gateway drug.
Well, no, alcohol is the gateway drug.
Okay.
Because before anybody smoked a joint, they had a drink. I had MD 2020 way before I rolled a joint.
That's not the mad dog.
Yeah, I mean, just real, and I've never done coke a day in my life. We never opened those doors. I didn't want to do that.
Fair enough.
Well, and I didn't want to do coke primarily because I'm already hyper as fuck. I mean,
you really don't need it.
Right? I know I'd be off the walls and would sleep for 55 days.
CJ.
So then coke was never my thing. I never tried it. I never did heroin because I mean, the fuck?
I never understood that. But I mean, but that doesn't cover everybody, because there are people who do get addicted to it because they do have pain.
Well, yeah, and that's actually the majority of users now. The majority of younger users didn't start off doing heroin.
No.
They started off by a prescription pill.
Yes.
That a doctor gave them, knowing that they didn't need it.
Yeah, see, that goes back to what you were saying about us being fucked. Like they're setting us
right. It's a cycle of fucking too. Because once you go to jail and get a number, you know, your job prospects are over. You know what I'm saying? Because not only do you have a number, you have a number from a drug case.
Yeah.
So you're not getting the jobs that you really want or that you can excel at. You're getting the jobs that you can take. And if you have kids, you know, like I can't feed a family at McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? If I'm working at McDonald's, I can't feed kids and pay bills and have a life. So what is a motherfucker to do? He starts selling the same shit he's using just to cut money. He can pay for his own habit and he has money to pay bills. Motherfuckers majority of cats selling dope aren't selling dope to get rich. They're selling dope to exist.
And I think that a lot of people, well, not a lot of people outside of that culture don't understand that.
Yeah. I mean, because the majority of the cats on the block, you know, a lot of them are ignorant as fuck, but that's beside the point. The majority of the cats on the block, you know, they're there out of necessity. It's not because they will gladly work a 9 to 5 if a 9 to 5 could pay the bills.
I've run into everybody I've run into on the street says that.
Yeah.
Granted, I haven't been hanging out on the street lately, so I don't know what the younger kids are up to.
The younger kids,
I don't know.
The younger generation that's coming up, they're catching their first felony at 16 before they even realize what's going on.
Hold on, before you get to that, and don't forget that, I was reminded of you were talking about the drug cases, like getting a drug case.
Yeah.
Missouri recently made it legal to have small amounts of marijuana.
Right.
You could still get a ticket for it.
Right.
What I don't think people understand is that ticket still puts you, that still sets you up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to say, okay, I mean, if I can smoke weed downtown, then that's cool. I'll pay a $25 fine. I ain't worried about that. But I don't think they understand what comes after you pay that $25 fine.
Paying the $25 fine admits that you're a drug user and you're in the system. Just like a person with a with a medical marijuana card can't buy a firearm, you're a drug user. Yeah. You admitted it by paying the fine. Mm. And but that's a problem with the justice system in and of itself.
Speak on it.
The majority of the people will take a plea bargain simply because the DA be like, look, you say you're guilty, I'll send you home right now with probation. Mm. You can fight it, you might lose and do 15 years. Most cats, whether they're guilty or innocent, go be like, shit, I want to go to the crib. Mm. You know what I'm saying? So they take that deal, not realizing that they got a number and a felony. They at the house, but now they can't get a job.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The same thing with paying that ticket. You pay that ticket, yeah, you at the crib. But now, you know what I'm saying, when a job pull it up, that's on there. You smoke weed. So now that they know you smoke weed, and as long as it's federally banned, it doesn't matter what your state says.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Federally, yeah, fuck you. You're not hiring you. Yeah. You know, I mean, yeah, you've never been convicted of a felony, but you've been convicted of a weed charge. And that's enough to deny you employment.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people miss that.
Yeah, and what's really fucked up is that loophole is only really used on a specific demographic. Typically, they're melanated.
Of course, of course. Don't tell your parents. Just go ahead and go home. Get it.
Right.
Let that be the fairer skin. But right. That's real.
Yeah, I mean, it's the reality that we live in. Yeah. You know, it's fucked up reality. I would prefer it not to be the reality.
But it is our reality.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I've been lucky enough that my entire life I've been on bullshit and never caught a charge.
Thank God.
You're right. I've never caught a significant charge. You know, I mean, you know. Yeah. I mean, I know is by pure happenstance and the fact that, you know, my family knows people and all of that. It's not what you know, it's who you know. That's the only reason that I'm not, you know what I'm saying, I'm not in the same place that a lot of cats are right now on the block.
The fact that you are aware of that.
Yeah.
When did you become aware of that?
In high school.
In high school?
Yes, in high school. In high school, I got arrested at Eastside.
Okay.
And I went to the police station, and while I didn't even get to finish unlacing my shoes before I was released.
Wow.
And that was only because of the people we knew. Wow. You know what I'm saying? Whereas anybody else in that exact same situation, that was the beginning of a bid for them.
And go ahead and get comfortable.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, and that was just one occasion. I mean, there were lots of occasions where I should have never been able to be in the position I am today. I should be at one of those cats on the block trying to figure it out. Mm-hmm. I was lucky enough to be surrounded by the people that I was, because that's the primary difference between me and the niggas on the block. That's why I can understand them. Because I mean, I'm no different. I'm no better. You know what I'm saying? I just was lucky enough to be born into the right family and do the right people. I'm no better than the guy on the block selling dope. I understand his plight. I get it. You trying to feed your family the only way that you can because of the situation you're in. Because when you were 16, you did some dumb shit. When I was 16, I was doing lots of dumb shit.
Oh man, I was 19. I was doing dumb
right. But luckily, we did our dumb shit before camera.
Before social media! We were the last generation to get it off, y'all.
Because boy,
you have no idea. No idea.
Cats will be in prison.
Okay, some of y'all know.
Yes, judging by that list.
That list right there. The comments.
There's at least 2 or 3 of them that are aware. But no, it's
real.
pure flukish.
Yeah.
The idea that a person is successful from hard work, is a fallacy. Because when they say that, they never tell you, A, who's hard work, and then B, they never tell you that their hard work only paid off because they knew the guy at the company.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you worked your ass off for the degree, but if it wasn't for the fact that your dad knew the VP, what I'm saying, you would have started off as an intern instead of as your executive.
Nepotism is really large in the Midwest area. It's not just.
Oh yeah. If I had gone the route of social worker,
yeah,
I'd be at the top of the field right now.
I believe that.
Because of nepotism.
I believe
and no other reason. I mean, sure, I'd be good at it, but that's not the point. You know what I'm saying?
This ain't about me.
Right. Nepotism, school board, same way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, this area right here, if your family positioned themselves, then your position to follow in the footsteps. Now, if you choose to go do your own thing, that's on you. But the path to success is already laid out for you if you go that route. And that's fucked up.
We've seen a lot of people from our high school year class who have moved away and become successful because they didn't want to be in their parents' footsteps or their parents' shadow.
Yeah, and that's great.
Yeah,
that's great. And I can sympathize with that because I wanted to do my own thing too.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, I probably should just listen to my mom.
You know what I'm saying? You hear that, Cameron? Should have listened to his mom.
Yeah, but it is what it is. But a lot of people, it's not so much that the only way to get your foot in the door is to know somebody. It's getting your foot in the door because of the I'd say predisposition that people have for you. Like there are people that get accepted to positions not because they got a college degree, that helps, but it doesn't put them ahead of the other characters that's applied for the same job. Then what puts them ahead of the competition is the fact that you remind me of me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, you come from a small little town. I came from a small little town. You know what I'm saying? I understand. Oh, you moved away from home. I moved away from home. I ain't seen my family in 5 years. You know what I'm saying? That helps them, get in the game. And I'm not hating on that. I understand it. You know what I'm saying? And shit, anybody that can beat the system, I say do that shit. By whatever the case may be. Like I recently found out that if you go to like Touche, mm-hmm. and regardless if you have Medicare or real insurance or whatever, mm-hmm. if you use somebody, if you could go in there with a friend or a relative's debit EBT card, mm-hmm. they will write off the debt. Huh? They don't even check to see if you're actually in the system as being on Medicare. If you have an EBT card on your person, they will give you the paperwork to fill out so they can just write it off.
How does that work?
Because there's a program where if you're poor, they'll just essentially just absorb the debt, write it off and get reimbursed another way. And they don't have the resources to check up on every person that comes through. So if you have an EBT card there, they'll just say, oh, okay, well, you're poor.
Wow.
They're not going to check to see if it's yours. They're not going to check to see how many kids you got.
Wow.
None of that shit.
I did not know that.
I was just recently
little nuggets.
Yeah. So, I've been putting people on game because, shit, like I got great insurance.
Yeah.
But at the same token, a lot of people don't. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it don't even have to be your card. If if you sick and like, damn, I gotta go up here and that shit for the cost. But somebody with a staff card, let me hold your card down tonight. I'll give it back to you tomorrow. You can come back and pick it up tonight from the ER. You know what I'm saying? I just need to show it to them.
Let me check in real quick and you can come get it.
And then they'll write off everything.
Y'all just learned the nugget.
Yeah.
Take that with you.
Yeah. Well,
all right. Well, my glass is empty.
Yeah, so is mine, and I blame you.
You're the one that only brought one bottle of wine.
You said what? You didn't say bring multiple bottles.
You
said
know how much you drink.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
but I didn't expect you to do 2 4.
Hey.
You didn't used to drink. You were anti-beverage. You be like, nah, I ain't drinking with you heathens. Then you would spit on us.
I would never, ever do such things. Don't believe that, y'all.
Some of the people in the category know it to be true.
I don't believe it. Don't believe that nonsense. No. Thank you for coming through, man.
No problem.
So I learned about the 19 crimes. This is dope. I'm gonna look for this, but I have to go. Where do I have to go to find this?
Well, anywhere. I found it in numerous places.
Okay.
That particular
Name off a
bottle.
couple places for people.
We can get it at Randall's. You can get it at well, anywhere in Mascuda.
Okay.
You can get it at. They have it at Schnucks too.
Do they?
Yeah. I mean, it's everywhere. It's like it's a normal wine. You're just, anti-beverage.
I am not anti-beverage. The weekly wind down is specifically me going around looking for bottles of black-owned wine that I can't seem to find in the metropolitan area. So he brought by some 19 crimes, which I had never heard of, and here we are. I'm a little tipsy. I could use another glass, but that would be all. Go ahead. So I'm glad that you all stopped in. Thank you for stopping by. Come back and rewind and review the whole thing. It'll be on YouTube, and a little bit more of it'll be on Facebook. Thank you, dear. Anyway, so thank you all for coming by. You have any last words? Anything else you want to say to anybody that might be listening or that will review this later? Or
not particularly. I mean,
And your buddy is up there. There goes Shannon. Shannon's still hanging with us. What's up, Shannon?
Little Debbie. Little Debbie.
She hung in there, man. I love you, man. I love you.
She's not even watching her TV just on.
She just got the phone on.
Right.
She got the phone on and she watching TV too.
Right. She
I
watching
do it all
Netflix.
the time.
Yeah. Handmaid's Tale on.
Just to make sure you get your views. Make sure you get your views. That's all. I'm just helping out. Talib is hanging around too, but I think he just in there with the phone on as well. I bet you he probably dipped out as well.
I'll throw some at him later.
Later.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for stopping by. I will see you another time next week. Hopefully, I'm not sure who will be here. Who knows? Ain't no telling. Right. This was a fluke.
Yeah. Ran into her by pure happenstance.
Happenstance.
She was outside and I was working.
Like, who stops and talks to people on the street when they working?
Yeah.
That guy. Cleaning up my yard. Here he comes.
All right.
Bye, Shannon. I love you. Hope to see you soon. All right, everybody, take it easy. Have a safe night. I pray all is well. I will see you next week on the weekly wind down. Hopefully, I will find some black-owned wine. I'm on a mission. Let's see who we got. We got Facebook is off. Well, I don't know how to end that. We got Instagram is off.
Not yet. Just all the media, huh?
And peace, YouTube.